In the first video on this kayak, I built the basic hull. Go back and check that out if you haven't. This video is about everything else I added to make the kayak functional. Since I built this boat from scratch, I wanted a space for a proper size cooler. I bought this old one because it matches. Its shitty 50-year-old insulation doesn't keep things cool as a new one, but that doesn't matter because it's cooler to begin with. Jesus Christ. Can't wait to hear the noise this makes. Holy shit. You can't just make a big floppy hole in your boat and expect it to be fine, so I made a reinforcement to bolt on. I started by making the flat pieces that bolt up against the skin, grinding down the welds so they would sit flat. Towards the back, the cutout goes through one of the hole joints, so I had to bend the flange to roughly match. To complete the reinforcement, I welded in another strip perpendicular to the flange. I could have just used aluminum angle on this rectangular cutout and saved a lot of welding, but that wouldn't work for the other elliptical cutouts, and I wanted the construction to match. Next up is the forward hatch. This was a convenient detail to add for two reasons. One is because I can put stuff in it, and the other is because I fucked up that particular part of the metal and now I can throw it away. I had a flange laser cut for this reinforcement ring and bent a flat strip to fit the inside curve. Doing the full weld while it's on the boat warps the thin sheet, so I just did this one against a piece of plate since it's close enough to flat. It only took a bit of twisting to actually fit the hull. The cockpit was the most complicated of the three cutouts. I got the 3D model from the Kayak designer and used it to make patterns for my reinforcement pieces, then had them laser cut. I think I've become addicted to paying money for laser cut parts. It just makes life so much easier. I paid my dues cutting out weird shapes with an angle grinder for over a decade, though, so I think I've earned it. Unfortunately, this one had to be welded while on the boat. It warped the sides quite a bit, but I was able to straighten them out off camera, and now they're only as wavy as the rest of the surface. You might be wondering why I'm not adding a third piece to any of these reinforcements, making a lip that I can fasten covers or a skirt to. And frankly, it's because I don't want to. I planned on it initially, but then it didn't seem necessary structurally, and I just skipped it. Maybe later. Speaking of necessary, the bottom of the kayak is a little uneven, so my cooler would wiggle around slightly. I bent up a pair of straps to cradle it so it stays centered and parallel to the top of the hull. At this point, I removed all 4 frames for some interior work. I had long suspected that it would actually be fine without them. Hoped, in fact, because one of them was right where my feet go. Turned out the hull itself seemed strong enough. Which is great, because putting the frames back would have been a bitch. A number of people have asked me if my welds leaked, and the answer is probably, but I painted them all with Flex Seal so I wouldn't have to find out. I really should have done like any surface prep at all to make this stuff stick better, but I was already entering the I want to be done phase of the project. I got an abrasive drum and an adapter for an angle grinder to give the whole exterior a uniform brushed surface. It made a pretty nice finish and was way easier than literally brushing it. To keep up with the theme I've got going here, I got this aluminum chair to cut up and use as a seat. I don't know why I expected otherwise, but it was held together with some bolts and shitty plastic spacers. So I got rid of the plastic and reattached whatever I needed by welding. I used material from the legs to rebuild the structure and add mounting posts. To spread out the load from the seat, I added in a pair of square tubes for it to sit on. Lots of fasteners would also help flatten out the wavy metal and fix this super annoying problem. For the first round of fasteners, I used these stainless threaded inserts because the tubing was too thin to thread comfortably. But they didn't end up being enough to hold the skin flat, and I added screws in between all the existing ones, this time just tapping the tubing because I didn't have enough inserts. They're still there, so I guess it's fine. After adding some mounting feet to the seat, I marked its location on the rails and added some blind rivet nuts to bolt into. Nobody local had the right size drill bit for these, so I just used the next size down and shimmied it around until the nut fit. Since the frames weren't going back in, I used rivets sealed with silicone to plug the old screw holes. I didn't pin them in place yet, so I could check for leaks first. Then I pulled out all the stainless screws and sealed those too. With everything sealed, it was finally ready for a leak test, so I brought it to the apartment pool. Please don't fucking sink. I rolled it around to get all the seams and rivets in the water. All the fasteners made me nervous. I thought for sure some of them would leak, but shockingly, I couldn't find a single drop of water inside. Then I went back and used this riveting tool on a pipe to hammer all the rivets in place. A quick test piece showed that each rivet also needed a stainless washer, otherwise the expanding metal would distort the skin. I found pretty quickly that hanging the boat from my garage door opener gave me a lot of freedom to position it best for each rivet. So the original plan for the footrests did not go as well as I hoped. Was always having a bit of an issue with the aluminum pieces galling on each other and not sliding smoothly. And now this piece, like my spare, that doesn't even have anything welded on it, is also stuck. So I don't think that's going to work at all. But I have already decided that the maiden voyage is going to be on Friday, and it is Wednesday evening, so I'm going to have to figure something out that's a bit less elegant, but is going to function quickly. So I threw together this stationary bar across the whole boat. It does the job. You may notice I don't have knee pads either, but luckily my knees happen to land in between screws. Still, I probably should add those at some point.
Works.
No leaks?
I don't know, because I dripped in it.
For the first outing, I took it to an island with a cooler full of burger stuff and made some fried bologna sandwiches. I've been using the kayak for a while now, so I can answer some common questions. It weighs about 39 pounds, is pretty stable, and handles well. No, it does not get too hot. Yes, it is noisy, and no, the reflecting sunlight doesn't bother me because the glare off the water is far worse. I don't have much footage of it yet, but I may put together a separate video of a longer outing, so stay tuned for that.